Good morning, my name is Nicholas and welcome to this space in this time. The video that I'm going to be sharing with you is about how to flow in your life working with the underlying forces of creation. So if you're living in a city, in a town with lots of other people, then you may have noticed and experienced in your own life that we live in a society that is constantly on the go, 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 busy, 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 constantly this demand for creating an output and achievement and needing more and doing more in the busyness of life. So we live in a society that is optimized maximum yield. What is the most that I can produce? What is the most that I can achieve? Often negating the really important question on what is actually sustainable or regenerative, which is not only good for me, but good for others and good for the planet. And so we live in a world that often ignores your current state of affairs or your current inner being experience. So for example, if you're feeling very internal, or if you're feeling that you need to be doing less and spending more time in stillness and quiet solitude, often with how our world is structured, that can be very, very challenging because of the expectations of society, others, your work, your friendship circles, etc. And we live in a world that is compartmentalized rather than being cyclical in nature. This is because we live in a world where our underlying value systems is really around growth, particularly economic growth, and often at the expense of everything else and anything else. The underlying value system is competition and lack, and the sense that my identity is connected to what I achieve or what I produce or what I'm known by. There is a complete forgetfulness of who we are as soul spirit, as inner beingness, and our relation to the inherent underlying nature of life all around us. And so this has resulted in not only us as individuals, other human beings, but also nature, the animals, the plant kingdom, being seen as objects of commodity to be used and abused without any real respect or reverence of the underlying nature of life. And more importantly, the regenerative nature of how we're actually engaging with life. So what is the impact of this on you and on me and on us as individuals? And so it manifests in our lives as stress, as overwhelm, of feeling energetically depleted, of feeling like no matter how fast you go, that there is still not enough hours in the day to complete all the things that you're trying to do. There is also this sense of self-doubt and not feeling good enough, and really experiencing the highs of the highs, but then the lows of the lows as well. And the sense that I am in a way out of control and that life is happening to me. And so I'm either fortunate in life is feeling supportive, or fate rears its ugly head and bites me from the behind, and I feel defeated and diminished by outer forces. So I'm going to be sharing with you a framework that I learned through the regeneration movement. And the regeneration movement is a body of work that's been around for about 30 years. And its underlying principle is, how do we actually create more energy, revitalize the energy that we are living in moment to moment, so that our inputs actually exceed our outputs, and that it feels good to be doing what we're doing and what we're creating, and it's based on service and contribution, as well as having a reverence and respect for my own inner needs, the needs of others, as well as my wider environment. Whereas me as an individual, I am playing a role in serving my immediate environment, which then uplifts the greater whole through the interconnectedness of life. So coming back to that question, well, how do I flow in my own life, working with the underlying forces of creation? So the first premise that I want to share with you are the three energies that we all experience in our lives. The first is the creative enabling energy, the inspiration, the desire to do something, to create something. And it comes from our soul and spirit. This enabling energy, when it's really true, is just a love for the sake of love. And it's a love that you wish to share with the world and with others that isn't connected only to the outcomes or what it is that you'll be getting back, but rather a flow of energy that is coming deep from within you into the outer world. And it feels like a pleasure and a joy to be able to share this with others and the world. You know that when you're in this state because it is what we call a flow state, and it feels replenishing. In fact, it gives you energy doing it. You don't feel tired or depleted having done the activity or the task. You feel energized and it feels like a pleasure. The second energy is the gestating or the nurturing energy. And so this is once the idea and the inspiration is there, there is then a time period of assimilating, integrating, and grounding it into reality, which also requires an embodiment that you as an individual have to go through, where your own thinking and feeling, behaviors, habits, choices, and actions have to reflect those new energies that have come in. And you go through the process of creation. Part of this process is that you encounter resistance. You encounter opposing energies that are both internal and outer and external. So these internal energies could be the inner critic, self-doubt, not feeling good enough, not feeling capable. The outer forces could be restrictions in resources or money, or relationships breaking down, or health taking a back seat. And so obviously when resistances come in, then there are learning opportunities and growths that we need to engage with to be able to evolve to the next level. So this framework that we're utilizing is cyclical and spiral in nature, which means that we're slowly ascending, and it sometimes can feel that you're repeating the same thing over and over again, but remembering that we're all growing at a different rate. Some people have a higher capacity and capability to grow, depending on the level of inspiration and desire in which they have within them and the clarity that they have in being able to move forward, and others it's a little bit slower. And it also really depends on your mindset when you're engaging with these difficulties and challenges. How are you perceiving these resistances? Do you see them as a growth opportunity, or do you fall into self-defeat, apathy, giving up, and feeling defeated? And so often when those resistances are coming in, it's an opportunity to pull in new capabilities and new capacities that require new energies for you to actually change and grow. And it isn't always a comfortable process. In fact, it often is uncomfortable. And so it really is about, how do I become more at ease when these uncomfortable phases come into my life? And so then the third and final energy is the destruction energy, which is the completions. It's when things die, the creations that you've put out into the world end. Relationships might need to end. Where you've been located might need to end. It's the time of completions and allowing the loop to complete and using that to be the fodder or the fertilizer for the next cycle of creation. And so we move from becoming. The enabling energy or the creative force is a becoming. We're going out into the world. We're bringing new energy into the world. And then there's a point where we acclimate all of that. And then it's about going back into beingness, which is coming back within yourself to go deeper into your soul spirit, into the depths of your inner being, and to connect in a way that maybe you've never connected before, in solitude, in quietness, in self-inquiry, reflection, and contemplation. And so you can see that those three energies are often at odds with the world of just being go, go, go. And so there is a really important question, which is, well, how do you hold yourself when you're in a world that doesn't reflect or honor these different cycles? And so for me, what I've really come to realize is that it really requires the development of these underlying skill sets. One of them being, as a very broad umbrella, I've called unshakable inner radiance, which is, how do I build these inner capabilities to expand my capacity to often be in dissonance or environments that are not in alignment or resonance with these natural ways of flowing and being. And it does require energetic boundaries, and it does require, for example, the ability to say yes and no, to know what's for me, what's not for me, how to communicate my needs and values in any given moment, and compassionately be able to also take into consideration those around me. And so it's much more of an empowered, creative way of walking in the world and being in the world and standing in your difference, regardless of whether others like it or don't like it. And in some scenarios, for example, if you're working in the corporate space or in very busy environments, it may be a case of going, well, how do I create peace amongst the chaos? How do I find, even if it's 5 or 10 minutes, to create some solitude or quietness, whether it be you go to the toilet, to be able to go into a meditative space to really cultivate and build some still, peaceful, harmonic energies, so that you can bring that into these often very challenging environments. And so my invitation for you today is never forget the inner resources within you, and make sure that you are taking time out to really replenish yourself at that deepest of levels, so that you can bring more of the fullness of who you are in loving service out into the world, which is a beautiful, positive gift that you can share with those that you touch in your everyday living experience. Thank you for being with me, and I look forward to connecting with you soon.